Hello everyone, I hope you are well and welcome to a new 4D Systems video. In this video I'm going to show you how easy it is to create a slide to unlock style user interface using a smart slider and a magic event in VisiGenie. Today I'll be using a Gen 4 ulcd 4.3 inch capacitive touch display with cover lens bezel. This project will work on Picasso, Diablo 16 and Pixie Touch displays, and it requires the Pro version of Workshop 4 because we'll be using magic events. So the idea for this project is simple. I want the user to be able to interact with a slider, and when the slider reaches the far right side, or in other words, its max value, I want it to trigger an action. In this case, I want that action to be switching to a new form. I then want the slider to reset back to its starting value, which will allow this interaction to happen again if the user revisits the startup screen or turns off the device. Let's head into Workshop 4 and start building this project. We'll begin by creating a new project and selecting the target display, which again is a Gen 4 ulcd 4.3 inch CT CLB. And for this project, I'll be working in the VisiGenie environment. Once the project is open, the first thing we do is add a smart slider. You'll find this under the Inputs tab in the Widgets menu. So I'll just grab it and drag it onto the screen. Once you place it on Form 0, it appears as Smart Slider 0. Now I'll go over to the Object Inspector and click the ellipsis next to the Config option in the Properties tab. This opens the Smart Widgets editor. Here you can either design your own horizontal slider or load an existing one using the sample graphics provided when you download Workshop 4. If you have never used the Smart Widgets editor or created a slider before, I would definitely recommend checking out some of our other project videos where I go into depth on how to use this window. I essentially have the base image, the knob graphic with 100 frames, and the X value edited so it can move left to right according to the background graphic. I then have the grey no progress fill, again moving along the X axis with 100 frames. And finally, on layer 3, I have the color fill, which is remaining static. What's happening here is that when the slider is interacted with, the grey color and the knob are moving to reveal the colored fill of the gauge. This gives the illusion that the gauge is being filled as it slides. And that's about it for the smart slider. So now that these graphic assets are uploaded and configured, I'll click OK and position the slider where I want on the screen. At this point, the slider is purely visual. It moves, but it doesn't actually do anything or unlock the next form yet. So let's get to programming that functionality. So I'll add in a second form by going to the System Media tab and tapping the Form option. This will be the screen that the program will navigate to when the slider reaches its end. On this new form, I'll add a static text label just to show that the unlock was successful. You can also add a button to return back to Form 0 so you can test the functionality repeatedly. Now comes the important part, the magic event. I'll go to the Magic tab in the Widgets menu and add a magic event object. This creates a 4D function inside the VisiGenie project. Open its code editor by clicking the ellipsis next to the code option in the Object Inspector. This magic event is where we add custom logic. What I'm going to do is read the current frame of the smart slider. Genie automatically controls the slider's animation when you're touching it. Each position of the knob corresponds to a frame index. Inside the magic event, we retrieve the current frame using image getWord. Then we compare that value to the total number of frames in the slider. If the current frame equals the highest possible frame, that means the slider has reached the far right. When that condition is true, Form 1 is activated. Immediately after that, the slider is reset back to frame 0 using right object. That makes the knob slide back to the starting position so it's ready to use again. But none of this works unless we link the smart slider to the magic event. So I'll go back to the smart slider, and in its onChange event handler, I'll link it to magic event 0. That means every time the slider is touched and released, our custom 4D GL code runs. Once that's done, I can now compile and upload the project. Now when you drag the slider all the way to the right, it switches forms just like a slide to unlock screen. And when you come back, the slider is reset and ready to use again. The key idea here is that Genie handles the visuals, but the magic event lets you add logic on top. That's how you turn a normal widget into something interactive and smart. And that's it, a clean slide to unlock interface using VisiGenie and custom 4D GL. Thank you for watching this video. Stay tuned for more projects and tutorials, and see you next time.